Hey everybody, you're watching We the Fandom, where we discuss comic books, pop culture, and the fandom experience. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to see more content. How's it going everybody? Jacob here at We the Fandom, and in today's video, I'll be reviewing the finale of the Book of Boba Fett, titled In the Name of Honor. Now to get right into the episode, it starts off with Boba Fett, Fennec Shand, and Denjarin showing up to what is now the ruins of Garza's bar, coming to terms with the fact that the war between their group and the Pikes has officially started. And Mando tells Boba and Fennec that the people of Freetown will help Boba Fett fight the Pikes, but only if they get rid of the spice trade of Tatooine. To which Boba agrees because he says he doesn't want to see people get killed by spice. Hold on one second. You're telling me Boba Fett cares about people doing drugs and is even willing to lose all the money he can make in the spice trade just because it kills people? Not only that, but the mods convince him to make a final stand in that ruined bar instead of his fortress, which is just stupid. But he agrees to that as well. So you have the most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy, who went from being mildly inept in the first few episodes to not having any lines in the last two episodes to now being a yes man. He wanted to hire foot soldiers for the war. Freetown wants to get rid of the entire spice trade, and he just says, okay. He wants to fight from his fortress instead of within the cramped streets of Mos Espa. The mods say that they should fight from the bar, and he just says, okay. I think that back tank that he was sitting in for 4 episodes must have been filled with soy, because Boba should be the one taking charge and making the decisions and not giving concessions to people who barely have any skin in the game. We get a conversation between the mayor of Mos Espa, Cadbane, and the leader, or at least the representative of the Pikes. The conversation is largely irrelevant. The only thing we really learn really just reveals that the Pikes were for sure responsible for the deaths of the Tusken Raiders. Grogo shows up in an X-Wing with R2, obviously deciding to side with Mando instead of continuing his Jedi training, making a similar decision to go help his friends in their time of need, much like Luke did, leaving his training with Yoda during the events of The Empire Strikes Back. Now, remember how I just said that it was stupid for Boba Fett not to set up in his fortress? Well, his group decided to split up their forces among the districts of Mos Espa to cover all their bases so that they'll know when the Pikes show up and send all their forces to that specific district. But then Cad Bane just sidles up to the bar with snipers on the roof behind him. So yeah, the stupid plan didn't really work out for Boba Fett, did it? Cad Bane also outright tells Boba that the Pikes were the ones who decimated the Tusken Raiders, obviously wanting to provoke Boba into a one-on-one standoff. And to be honest, I don't know who would win that. Cad Bane is pretty old by this point, but Boba Fett isn't in good shape either. Boba manages to restrain himself and defuse the situation, but his plan once again goes belly up because it turns out that the treaty he had with the district leaders meant nothing. The locals of each district are staging ambushes all across the city, with the mods being swarmed by the Aqualesh, Black Chrysanthemum being surrounded by the Trandoshans, and 2 Gamorrean guards being attacked by Klatooinians. The Gamorreans get killed pretty quick, they're just thrown off a cliff. Black Chrysanthemum puts up a good fight, but is overwhelmed by the Trandoshans, and the mods barely put up any resistance and have to be saved by Fennec Shand on her way to Mos Eisley to find the head of the Pike Syndicate. Honestly, the mods could have died, and I really wouldn't have cared. Meanwhile, a bunch of the Pike soldiers show up to Garza's bar with only Boba and Mando, plus the annoying Majordomo that they had captured, who Boba sends out with a message to the Pikes that he will see the Pikes leave the planet or he will kill them all. Despite overwhelming odds, Boba and Mando decide that they want to die with honor, and they end up flying into the plaza on their jetpacks, guns blazing, and I'll admit it's pretty cool. It only took 7 episodes, but we finally see Boba Fett doing Boba Fett stuff, which is all we really wanted. Just give us more of that. We didn't need any Tusken Raiders, Fennec Shand, or the mods. We didn't need Boba Fett to become Daimyo. All you had to do was show Boba Fett coming back with a vengeance. Although there is this shot. Who the hell came up with that? Despite their combined skill, the two are overwhelmed and would have died except for the timely arrival of the people of Freetown. The mod squad also shows up, along with Black Chrysanthemum, who's barely hobbling along. But the Pikes bring in giant battle droids, a type that I don't believe we've seen in Star Wars before. They seem to either have different kinds of shields than what we've seen in battle droids before. Either that, or the writers seem to have forgotten that a person can walk through the shield if they do it slowly. Either way, Boba ends up leaving for reinforcements and asks Mando to protect the people. Even though it doesn't make sense for them to put this scene in the middle of a battle, we do get to see Denjarin and Grogu have a happy little reunion, with Grogu wearing the Beskar chainmail. And then Boba shows up with the Rancor that we haven't seen for the past few episodes. And I really wish we had seen some kind of development and training between the two, but from here on out, the show is what I can only describe as a kid playing with his toys. A big monster fighting a big robot. I'm sure someone will disagree with me on this, but that kind of thing just doesn't work for me in Star Wars. Not that it helped anyways, because Mando and Grogu had to take the battle droid apart so that the Rancor could deal the finishing blow, with Mando finally going through the shield and cutting into the droid with the Darksaber, while Grogu uses the Force to pull off important pieces of the droid. The second droid gets taken out by the Rancor as well, but only after its shields were taken down by falling debris. But after fighting two shielded droids that were roughly its equivalent in size, Boba gets knocked off the Rancor because Cad Bane shoots it with a flamethrower, which is pretty lame. A stupid plot point, but it's meant to set up a standoff between Boba and Cad Bane. To which it's obvious that Cad Bane is the quicker draw, but Boba takes Cad Bane out with a gaffy stick, which I wasn't expecting. It would have been cool to see a drawn out fight, but between characters like that, it's got to be very short, otherwise you're going to start to question their skill. We only get a very minor mention of their rivalry from the past, though I suppose we have to count it as a good thing that his kill wasn't stolen by someone else. After the standoff between two legendary bounty hunters, we get one between Grogu and the rampaging Rancor. Grogu actually uses a Force technique to calm the beast, one that I haven't seen since Star Wars Rebels. And that's basically the end of the episode. Fennec Shand takes out the leader of the Pikes, as well as the leader of the Contras. Everybody lives happily ever after. Mando and Grogu ride off into space, and there is a post-credit scene, but it's just Cobb Vanth in the bacta tank, so who really cares? As I mentioned in my earlier reviews, one of the things that I was hoping for were some flashbacks into Boba's past as a bounty hunter. Especially with the reintroduction of Cad Bane, I felt like they missed an opportunity to show us some really interesting scenes. Instead, they gave us 2 episodes about Grogu and the Mandalorian, which, yes, they were cool, but they were such an obvious turn from everything else that was happening in the Book of Boba Fett. There were also theories that maybe some of the Tuskens had survived, like the warrior who trained Boba Fett, and they were going to show up in the finale, but this new episode proved that wasn't the case. Now, in about every review, I've had complaints about the portrayal of Boba's character, but still hoped that the finale might change things, that it would get better. While the situation with the Pikes was resolved, nothing really felt resolved for Boba Fett, and that's because nothing that happened really felt like it mattered. Yes, he was dealing with this whole situation with numerous people involved, and he's still the daimyo, and he did get rid of the Pikes, but to me there just isn't any weight to it. I don't know if it's because of the large ensemble cast, or the hijacking of the show to focus more on Denjarin, but nothing that Boba Fett did in this episode really felt impactful, even the killing of Cad Bane. I don't know, maybe it had something to do with Boba saying, maybe this life isn't for me, after 7 episodes of fighting for people. This episode was a mess. Stuff was just happening, like look over here at this thing, look at this robot and monster battle. This whole series was just a big pile of member berries interspersed with poor writing. The pacing was bad, the portrayal of the main character was bad, the obvious need they had to throw in a bunch of cameos to make up for lack of an interesting hook, and either lack of willingness to portray the character in the way that he was classically been portrayed, or just straight up ignorance of the material. I'm not going to speak for others, but for myself, the series was a complete disappointment. Whatever magic they had with the Mandalorian was lightning in a bottle, apparently, and the writers either didn't really care about Boba Fett or didn't know how to bring him back to this universe. Next time, maybe have your main character actually be the focus of the show, rather than trying to change people's perception of Tusken Raiders, showcase a largely irrelevant character, and having an entire episode dedicated to whether or not Grogu is going to become a Jedi or a Mandalorian, the last of which had absolutely nothing to do with the titular character. But what's done is done. Let me know what you guys thought about the Boba Fett series in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like and subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on a new video. I'll see you all next time.